7 years ago, my daughter Elena died in a car accident on the highway outside Cleveland. I buried her on a Tuesday in November, then spent every day after that trying to keep her little girl, my granddaughter Sophia, from disappearing too. So every year on the anniversary of Elena's death, I wired $100,000 to her husband Victor. I told myself it was for Sophia's future, school, therapy, a house someday. I told myself it was love. Until the day Sophia, now 17, sat across from me at the kitchen table, hands shaking, and said, "Papa, stop sending him money. Please. He's not using it for me." Welcome back to your ultimate destination for gripping revenge stories, family betrayals, shocking betrayals, and emotional justice. Subscribe now and join a community and tell us where you're watching from. Turn on the notification bell for our next story. Are you ready to witness the ultimate payback? Let's get started. I am Mr. ZAHA, and I'm 68 years old. The house in Shaker Heights still smelled like Elena's lavender candles, even 7 years later. I never lit them anymore. I just kept the boxes stacked in the pantry like relics. Every morning, I woke at 5:45, made coffee in the pot she bought at a flea market in 2012, and sat at the same oak table where she used to do her homework. The silence was louder than any noise. Victor had moved Sophia to a condo in Lakewood the year after the funeral. "Fresh start," he said. "Too many memories here." I didn't argue. Grief makes you pliable. I sent the first $100,000 the following November, wired it straight to his account with a memo line that read, "For Sophia, love, Papa Z." He texted back a photo of Sophia holding a new laptop, her smile small but real. She says, "Thank you, ZAHA. You're keeping her dreams alive." I believed him. Every year after that, the same ritual. November 12th, the transfer, the photo, the thank you text. Sometimes Sophia called, short conversations, her voice getting taller each time. She told me about school plays, soccer games, the boy she liked in geometry class. Victor was always in the background. "Tell Papa thanks again." I sent birthday cards with cash tucked inside. Christmas presents shipped overnight. I never visited unannounced. Victor said it was better for Sophia's adjustment. I believe that too. Then came the morning of November 13th last year. Sophia showed up at my door at 7:22 a.m. No call, no text, just her standing on the porch in a gray hoodie 2 sizes too big, backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes red from crying or no sleep or both. "Papa," she said, voice cracking on the second syllable. "Can I come in?" I pulled her inside before the cold could touch her. She dropped her bag in the hallway and walked straight to the kitchen like she still lived here. Sat in her old chair, the one with the scratch on the arm from when she was 8, and tried to carve her initials with a butter knife that I made her hot chocolate the way Elena used to. Extra marshmallows, cinnamon sprinkled on top. She didn't touch it. Instead, she pulled her phone out, opened her banking app, and turned the screen toward me. Balance. $1. 847.92. I stared at the numbers. "Sophia, where's the rest?" She looked at me. Really looked. And the words came out like they'd been waiting years to escape. "He's been taking it, Papa. All of it. Every dollar you sent. He says it's for family expenses." But I found the statements. Credit cards. Casino withdrawals. A condo in Vegas he bought last year under his new girlfriend's name. A boat. Jewelry. Trips. He told me the money was gone because life is expensive. But I saw the receipts. I photographed them. Look, she swiped through photos on her phone, date after date. Wire transfers from my account to his. Then from his to casinos, luxury retailers, travel agencies. One receipt. $18,000 at a jeweler in Atlantic City for a diamond tennis bracelet. Another. $42,000 down payment on a speedboat titled To Victor Reyes and Companion. My chest tightened so hard I thought the old heart would finally give out. "He told me you were helping with college," she whispered. "He said the rest was for therapy and tutors. But I haven't seen a tutor since 8th grade. And the therapist? He canceled after 3 sessions because it was too expensive. I've been wearing the same sneakers for 2 years. The ones you bought me when I was 15. She started crying then. Quiet, shoulder-shaking sobs. "I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared if I said anything he'd kick me out. I'm 17. Where would I go? But I can't watch him spend your money anymore. Not when you think it's for me. Not when Mom would hate it." I reached across the table and took her hands. They were cold, small, still my granddaughter's hands. "How long have you known?" I asked, Almost 2 years. I started checking his mail when he was out. Then I got brave enough to log into the accounts he never changed the passwords on. I saved everything. I have a folder on my phone. Proof. I nodded slowly. The room tilted once, then steadied that I stood up. Walked to the drawer where I kept the old checkbook. Backup for emergencies that I wrote a check $4,500 that handed it to her. This is yours. Not his. Put it in an account he can't touch. I'll help you open one today. She stared at the check like it might vanish. Papa, I don't want to hurt him. He's still my dad. I sat back down. He stopped being your dad the day he chose a boat over your future. Her tears fell faster. I know. But I'm scared. I pulled her into my arms. She fit against me the same way Elena used to when she was 17 and the world felt too big. We'll fix this, I told her. Together. But first we stop the money. Today. That afternoon we went to the bank. I closed the automatic transfer. Opened a new savings account in Sophia's name only. Joint with me until she was 18. I transferred $50,000 into it immediately. Emergency cushion. Then I called Victor. He answered on the second ring. Voice cheerful. Huh? Good to hear from you. Sophia okay? She's with me. I said. No greeting. No warmth. A pause. Everything all right? No, I said. It's not. The money stops. Effective immediately. No more wires. No more annual gifts. And I want every receipt for the last 7 years showing exactly where my daughter's life insurance money and my savings went. Silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then his voice. Low. Careful. ZAHA. You don't understand. Life got complicated. Sophia's needs changed. I had to stop. I cut in. I've seen the statements. The casino chips. The boat. The bracelet. You spent my grief on your pleasure. You lied to me. You lied to your own daughter. And you let her think she was the reason things were tight. He exhaled sharply. Look, we can work this out. Family, right? I'll send you documentation. I'll explain everything. No, I said. You'll send Sophia's things here. She's staying with me until she graduates. And you'll speak to my lawyer. Because if I find out you've hidden assets or tried to move money before we sort this, I will press charges. Fraud. Misappropriation. Whatever the DA calls it when a father steals from his dead wife's memory to fund a girlfriend's lifestyle. Victor's voice cracked. She's my daughter too. She was Elena's daughter first. I said. And Elena would have burned the world down before she let anyone hurt that girl. Including you. I hung up. Sophia watched me from the passenger seat. Her eyes were wide. You meant all that? Every word. She leaned her head against the window. I'm scared he'll hate me. He might, I said honestly. But hate is better than being used. And love, real love, doesn't disappear because someone gets angry. We drove home in silence. That night Sophia slept in Elena's old room. I sat on the edge of the bed until her breathing evened out. Then I went downstairs, opened my laptop, started searching public records, property deeds, casino loyalty programs, credit reports I could pull with permission. I wasn't going to ruin him. Not yet. But I was going to make sure he never spent another dime of Elena's legacy on anything but Sophia. And if that meant court, lawyers, and years of fighting, so be it. Because some promises don't end when someone dies. They just get heavier. 2 weeks later, Victor showed up at the house unannounced. He stood on the porch in a coat too thin for November, eyes bloodshot, holding a manila envelope. Sophia's birth certificate, immunization records, the last 3 years of school transcripts. He said when I opened the door. Everything you asked for. Then he looked past me into the house. She here. She's at school, I said. And she doesn't want to see you right now. Victor's jaw tightened. I need to talk to you. Alone. There's something you don't know. He held up the envelope again. Elena left instructions. With me. Instructions she never told you about. My heart stuttered. What instructions? Victor met my eyes. She knew I might fail her. She knew I might fail Sophia. So she made a backup plan. A trust. In Sophia's name. And you're the trustee. But only if I agree to step aside. He handed me the envelope. Inside, a notarized document dated 3 months before the accident. Elena's signature. Clear as day. What would you do if you discovered your late child had secretly protected her own daughter from her husband, years before anyone knew there was danger? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one. If this story of grief, betrayal, and a mother's quiet foresight is already gripping you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Victor stood on the porch like a man who had lost his coat in a storm, shoulders hunched, eyes darting, the manila envelope clutched so tight the edges were creased. The November wind carried dead leaves across the lawn. I didn't invite him in. I stepped outside instead, pulled the door almost closed behind me so Sophia wouldn't hear if she came downstairs. Talk. I said. He looked past me again, toward the hallway light. She really doesn't want to see me? She's 17. She gets to decide who she sees. Right now that's not you. Victor nodded once, slow, defeated. He handed me the envelope. I opened it on the porch steps. Inside, Sophia's birth certificate, original, not copy, immunization records, school transcripts, a few report cards with Elena's handwriting in the parent comment sections. And at the bottom, a legal-size document folded in thirds, sealed with a notary stamp from 8 years ago. I unfolded it. Declaration of Trust, Minor Beneficiary. Settler, Elena M. Reyes. Trustee, ZAHA M. Father of Settler. Beneficiary, Sophia Elena Reyes. Date, March 17, 2018. 3 months before the accident. The trust language was simple but ironclad. Elena had placed $750,000 in a revocable living trust, money from her own inheritance, life insurance proceeds she'd quietly redirected, and a portion of their joint savings she had moved without Victor's knowledge. The document named me successor trustee if Victor was deemed unfit, unwilling, or unable to manage the funds for Sophia's benefit. Unfit was defined broadly: evidence of financial mismanagement, substance abuse, gambling, or any pattern showing the funds were not being used primarily for Sophia's welfare. Attached was a handwritten letter from Elena, dated the same day, to M.Y. Dearest Papa, if you're reading this, something has happened to me, and Victor has not been the father Sophia needs. I've watched him gamble away small amounts for years, poker nights, sports bets, just a little fun. He hides it well, but I know. I love him, but love doesn't mean blind. This trust is my safety net for Sophia. If he ever uses money meant for her on anything else, the trustee, you, can step in. The funds are locked until Sophia is 25 unless used for education, health, housing, or basic needs. With your approval, that I didn't tell Victor because I hoped I was wrong. I hoped he'd grow out of it. But if I'm gone and he hasn't, I need you to protect her the way I can't anymore. Tell Sophia I love her every day. Tell her mommy always saw her light. And tell Victor the first forgave him long ago, but forgiveness doesn't mean consequences disappear. That I love you forever, Papa. Be her shield. Elena, my knees almost gave. That I looked up at Victor. You knew about this? He shook his head, too fast, not the details. She told me she set up a college fund. Said it was in both our names. I never asked to see the papers. I thought it was handled. You thought, I repeated. Flat. Victor rubbed his face with both hands. I messed up, ZAHA. Bad. The money you sent, it was supposed to be for Sophia. But after Elena died, everything felt empty. I started going to the casino to feel something. One night turned into weekends. Then the boat seemed like a good idea, something Sophia and I could do together. The condo, that was for her too, eventually. I kept telling myself I'd stop when things got better. They never got better, I said. No, he admitted. They got worse. And I kept spending because stopping meant facing it all. I folded the trust document carefully. This says if I present evidence of misuse, the trust shifts to me. Full control. And I have evidence. Sophia has screenshots, bank records, receipts. You spent almost $700,000 of what I sent, plus whatever was already in Elena's accounts, on things that had nothing to do with her. Victor's shoulders dropped. I know. So why are you here? I asked. Not to apologize. You could have mailed this. He met my eyes, red-rimmed, desperate, because I'm losing her. My daughter. She won't answer my calls. She blocked me on everything. I'm scared if you take the trust and cut me off completely, I'll never see her again. You might not, I said quietly. That's her choice now. Victor swallowed hard. I'm not asking for the money back. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. Let me sign over whatever's left in my accounts to Sophia. Let me go to counseling. Gambling Anonymous. Whatever you want. Just don't let her think I don't love her. I studied him, the man who had walked my daughter down the aisle in 2010, who had cried when Sophia was born, who had stood beside me at Elena's grave and whispered, I'll take care of them both. and the man who had spent her memory on blackjack tables and speedboats. Both were real. I'll talk to Sophia, I said finally. She decides if she wants contact. Not me. Not you. Her. Victor nodded. That's fair. He turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing, he said. The condo in Vegas. It's in my girlfriend's name, but I paid for it. If you want it sold, the money can go to Sophia. I'll sign whatever. I didn't answer. He walked down the steps, got into his car, drove away. Inside, Sophia was sitting at the top of the stairs, knees drawn up, listening. She looked at me when I closed the door. He brought Mom's trust? I climbed the stairs slowly, sat beside her. Yes. I handed her the letter. She read it in silence. When she finished, tears were running down her face. She knew, Sophia whispered. Even back then, she knew he might. I put my arm around her. Your mother was fierce. Quietly fierce. She protected you before she even knew she needed to. Sophia pressed the letter to her chest. What happens now? Now we talk to a lawyer. We activate the trust. We make sure every remaining dollar goes where Elena wanted it. To you. College. Therapy. A car when you're ready. A place of your own someday. No more boats. No more casinos. And Dad. That's up to you, I said. You can see him. You can write him letters. You can tell him no contact for now. Or forever. Whatever feels safe. Sophia was quiet a long time. I want to see him, she said finally. But not here. Not yet. Somewhere public. With you there. I want to tell him I love him, but I don't trust him. And that he has to earn it back. I kissed the top of her head. Then that's what we'll do. The lawyer, old Mr. Harlan from First National, the same one who handled Elena's estate, met us the next week that he read the trust. The letter, the evidence Sophia had gathered, open and shut, he said. Your trustee now, ZAHA. The remaining trust assets, about $180,000, are yours to manage for Sophia. Victor has no access. If he contests, he'll lose. The gambling records alone are damning. We didn't need to contest. Victor signed the waiver 2 days later, transferred what was left in his personal accounts, $47,000, directly to Sophia's new trust account, sold the boat. The proceeds, $91,000, went into the Vegas condo. Was trickier. His girlfriend refused to sign. Victor said he'd handle it legally. I didn't ask how. Sophia started seeing a new therapist. One she chose herself. She began applying to colleges, art schools mostly. She wanted to study graphic design. Like Mom used to sketch dresses when she thought no one was watching, she told me. Victor sent one letter a month. Short, handwritten. Dear Sophia, I'm going to Gamblers Anonymous 3 times a week. I have a sponsor. I'm working a second job to pay back what I can. I miss you every day. I'm proud of you no matter what. Love, Dad. She read them. Sometimes cried. Sometimes didn't reply. But she kept them in a shoebox under her bed. Christmas came. Sophia asked if Victor could come for dinner. I looked at her. Are you sure? She nodded. I want to see if he's different. And I want him to see I'm okay. That I'm not broken. I called him that he arrived at 5:30 p.m. on Christmas Eve, carrying a single gift bag, wearing a coat I recognized from 10 years ago. Sophia met him at the door. They stood there a long moment. Then she stepped aside. Come in, Dad. He cried when he saw her. Not loud. Just tears running down his face while he tried to smile. Dinner was quiet at first. Then Sophia started talking. About school. About her portfolio. About the college acceptance letter she'd received that morning. Victor listened. Really listened. When she finished, he said, I'm sorry, Sophia. For everything. I can't undo it. But I'm trying to be someone you can be proud of again. Sophia looked at him. I want to believe you, she said. But trust takes time. He nodded. I know. I'll wait. After dessert, Victor stood to leave. Sophia hugged him. Brief, but real. Merry Christmas, Dad. Merry Christmas, baby girl. He looked at me over her shoulder. Thank you, ZAHA, for not shutting the door completely. I didn't reply, but I didn't slam it either. That night Sophia and I sat on the porch swing. Snow started falling. Soft, slow. She leaned against me. Mom would be proud of you. She said that I kissed her hair. She'd be proud of you. We watched the snow cover the lawn. And for the first time in 7 years, the silence in the house didn't feel emptied. It felt like waiting. Waiting for healing. Waiting for trust to regrow. Waiting for a family that had cracked, but never fully broken, to find its way back together. For years later, Sophia's college graduation day. She walked across the stage in her cap and gown, diploma in hand. In the front row, me, Anita's photo pinned to my lapel, Victor sitting 2 seats away, sober 5 years, working as a mechanic, paying child support arrears he wasn't legally required to pay anymore. After the ceremony, Sophia hugged us both. Then she looked between us. "I want to start something new," she said. "A scholarship fund. For kids whose parents struggle with addiction. Named after Mom. But I need both of you to run it with me. Together." Victor looked at me, asking without words. I looked at Sophia, then at the photo of Elena pinned to my jacket. I extended my hand to Victor. "What would you do if the man who betrayed your daughter's memory asked to stand beside you to honor her legacy?" Share in the comments below. I read every story. Sophia's graduation day dawned bright and mercilessly blue over the campus of Kent State University. 4 years had passed since that frozen November when she showed up on my porch with nothing but a backpack and the truth. 4 years of therapy appointments, late-night study sessions, and quiet dinners where the empty chair at the table slowly stopped feeling like a wound and started feeling like a promise that I sat in the front row of the outdoor amphitheater, Elena's photo pinned to the lapel of my navy suit. The same suit I wore to her wedding and to her funeral. The picture was from her 28th birthday. Elena laughing in the kitchen, flower on her cheek, Sophia as a toddler on her hip. I touched the edge of the photo the way I always did when the world felt too big. Victor sat 2 seats to my right. He looked different now. Sober 5 years. His mechanic's hands were clean but scarred from years under hoods. The expensive watch was gone. The flashy car was gone. He drove a 10-year-old pickup with a dent in the fender he refused to fix because it reminds me where I came from. He had paid back every dime he could, $312,000 so far, wired monthly like penance. He lived in a small apartment above the garage where he worked. No girlfriend, no boat, just meetings, work, and letters to Sophia that he still wrote by hand that we didn't speak much during the ceremony. But when Sophia's name was called, Sophia Elena Reyes, Bachelor of Fine Arts, summa cum laude, we both stood up at the same time. Our shoulders brushed. Neither of us moved away. She walked across the stage tall and sure, black gown fluttering, mortarboard tilted just a little the way Elena used to tilt hers. When she took her diploma, she looked straight at us. Not at the crowd. At us. Her smile was small, private, the kind that said I made it. Afterward, in the sea of hugs and camera flashes, she found us. She hugged Victor first, longer than she had in years, then me. Then she stepped back, still holding both our hands. "I want to start something new," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were shining. "A scholarship fund. For kids whose parents struggle with addiction or gambling or anything that steals from them. Named after Mom. The Elena Reyes Legacy Fund. Full tuition, books, therapy, whatever they need to break the cycle." She looked between us, but I can't do it alone. I need both of you to run it with me. Together. You as co-trustees. You as the ones who know what it feels like to lose everything and still choose to show up. Victor's eyes filled that he looked at me, asking without words that I looked at Sophia. Then at the photo of Elena on my lapel that I extended my hand to Victor. He took it. His grip was firm. Calloused. Real. We shook once, slow, deliberate. Then we pulled each other into a hug. Awkward at first, then real. The kind of hug that says I still hate what you did, but I see what you're becoming. Sophia watched us with tears running down her cheeks. "That's all I needed," she whispered. The next 18 months were a whirlwind of paperwork, meetings, and late nights at the kitchen table. The same table where Elena used to sketch dress designs and Sophia used to color outside the lines. We incorporated the fund as a 501c3. I put in the remaining trust assets, $240,000 after college expenses. Victor sold his truck and added $18,000 he'd saved from overtime. Sophia contributed her first freelance graphic design earnings, $3,200 from a logo she created for a local shelter. We named the first scholarship after Elena's favorite color, the Lavender Award. It went to a 16-year-old girl from Youngstown whose mother had lost everything to opioids. Her name was Amara. She wanted to study nursing so she could help people come back from the edge. We met her at the first awards dinner in a small community center in Cleveland. Amara stood on stage in a secondhand dress, voice shaking as she thanked the family who turned their pain into someone else's future. Sophia sat between me and Victor. When Amara finished, Sophia squeezed both our hands under the table. Victor cried quietly into a paper napkin that I didn't try to stop him. That night, after everyone had gone, the three of us walked along the Cuyahoga River. The city lights reflected on the water like scattered stars. Sophia spoke first. I used to be so angry at you, Dad. I thought you chose the casino over me, over Mom. But watching you these last years, I see how hard you're fighting, and I'm proud of you. Victor stopped walking. He turned to her. I don't deserve that, he said, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to. Sophia hugged him. Then she looked at me. Papa, you could have shut the door on both of us. You didn't. You fought for me when I didn't even know how to fight for myself. Thank you. I pulled them both close. The river kept moving. So did we. The fund grew up. By the third year we had awarded 14 scholarships. Kids from broken homes. Kids who had watched their parents disappear into bottles and cards and pills. Kids who now had a chance to write a different story. Victor ran the mentoring program. He met every recipient personally. He told them his story, raw, unfiltered. I was the villain in my own daughter's life, he'd say. But villains can change if they're willing to bleed for it. Sophia designed the branding, simple, elegant, a lavender ribbon that looked like Elena's favorite scarf. She handled the website, the social media, the stories that made donors cry and reach for their wallets. I was the quiet backbone. I reviewed every application. I sat on the board. I wrote the checks. And every time a new student sent us a thank you note with a photo of them holding their acceptance letter, I pinned it to the bulletin board in Elena's old room. One evening in late October, 6 years after Sophia first showed up on my porch, Victor called me at 8:47 p.m. I need you to come to the garage. Now. His voice was tight. I drove across town in the dark. The garage was closed, but the bay door was up. Victor stood under the fluorescent lights next to an old blue Civic that looked familiar to Sophia's first car. The one I bought her when she turned 16. The one Victor had sold to pay a gambling debt. That IT was back, polished. New tires. A lavender air freshener hanging from the mirror. Victor wiped his hands on a rag. I tracked it down, he said. Took me 2 years. The guy who bought it from me had it in storage. I paid him double what it was worth. Fixed everything that was broken. Even had the dent pulled from when Sophia backed into the mailbox when she was learning to drive. He looked at me. I know it doesn't erase anything, but I wanted her to have something back. Something I took. I ran my hand over the hood. The metal was warm. She's going to cry, I said. Victor smiled, small, hopeful. I hope so. We drove the car to Sophia's apartment together. She was waiting on the steps in her pajamas, hair in a messy bun, the way she used to when she was little. When she saw the Civic, she froze. Then she walked down slowly, touched the hood, looked at Victor. You found it. He nodded. Sophia started crying. She hugged him so hard he stumbled back a step. I forgive you, Dad, she whispered into his shoulder. I really do. Not because you fixed the car. Because you fixed yourself. Victor held her like she was still 7 years old. I stood back and watched. The night air smelled like falling leaves and possibility. Later, the three of us sat in the Civic in the parking lot. Engine off, windows down, Sophia in the driver's seat. Victor in the passenger, me in the back, where I used to sit when Elena drove us to the lake on summer Sundays. Sophia turned the key. The engine purred. She looked in the rearview mirror at me. Papa, I think Mom's smiling right now. I nodded. I know she is. We drove around the block once, slow, careful, like the car was made of glass. When we pulled back into the lot, Victor spoke. I've been thinking about the fund. I want to add something. A program for parents who are in recovery, so they don't lose their kids the way I almost lost mine. Sophia looked at him. That's perfect, Dad. I reached forward and squeezed both their shoulders. Then we'll make it happen. All of us. The next 2 years were the best of my life. The fund awarded its 50th scholarship that we held the ceremony in the same community center, but bigger now, standing room only. Donors, recipients, families. Victor gave the keynote. He stood at the podium in a simple gray suit. No tie. He told the whole story. The gambling, the lies, the basement of shame he lived in for years. Then the moment Sophia looked him in the eye on Christmas Eve and said, I want to believe you. When he finished, the room was silent. Then the applause started, slow at first, then thunderous. Sophia stood up from the front row and walked to the stage. She hugged her father in front of everyone, and no one clapped louder than me. That night we went back to the house in Shaker Heights. The lavender candles were finally lit. Everyone that we sat around the kitchen table. Me, Sophia, Victor, and the new photos on the walls. Amara graduating nursing school, other scholars in cap and gown, Sophia's first gallery show. Victor raised his glass of sparkling water. To Elena, he said, the woman who protected her daughter even from beyond the grave. And to the family she left behind, who chose to keep her light burning. We drank. Then Sophia looked at both of us. I have one more thing to ask. She pulled out a small velvet box. Inside, 2 simple silver rings. These are promise rings, she said. Not marriage. Just family. To remind us that we chose each other. Every day, even when it was hard. She slipped one on Victor's finger, then one on mine. I looked at the ring. It felt heavier than it should have. Like a vow. I looked at my son-in-law. The man who had broken my heart and was now helping heal it. I looked at my granddaughter. The girl who had saved us all by speaking the truth. I thought of Elena, and I smiled. 2 years later, the Elena Reyes Legacy Fund was now awarding over 30 scholarships a year. We were at the annual gala in a downtown ballroom. Sophia was on stage accepting the Community Impact Award on behalf of the fund. Victor and I sat at the head table, proud as kings. Halfway through her speech, Sophia paused. She looked straight at us. There's one more person I want to thank tonight. Someone who isn't here in body, but who started all of this. Mom, if you can hear me, thank you for the trust. For believing in us even when we didn't believe in ourselves. Then she looked at Victor. And Dad, this next part is for you. She stepped aside. The lights dimmed. A video started playing on the big screen. Elena's face appeared. A recording from her phone, dated 2 weeks before the accident. She was smiling, holding the camera close. Victor, my love, if you're watching this someday, it means you finally opened the safe deposit box like I asked. I know you've struggled. I know you're ashamed. But I also know you're capable of more. So here's my last request. When Sophia is grown, when the pain has settled, I want you to stand beside her father, my papa, and build something beautiful together. Because family isn't what we're born into. It's what we choose to become. The video ended. The room was silent. Victor was crying openly. I reached over and took his hand. What would you do if your late child left a message asking you to forgive the person who hurt you most? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story of loss, betrayal, redemption, and a mother's love that reached beyond the grave moved you, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The ballroom at the Renaissance Hotel in downtown Cleveland glittered under crystal chandeliers, but the real light came from the faces in the room. Over 400 people, scholars, donors, families, survivors, filled the tables draped in lavender tablecloths. The Elena Reyes Legacy Fund was celebrating its 5th anniversary, and tonight we were honoring the 57th scholarship recipient. Sophia stood at the podium in a simple black dress, the same shade Elena wore the night she proposed to Victor. Her hair was pulled back the way her mother used to wear it when she was nervous. Victor and I sat at the head table, side by side for the first time in public. No space between us. No old wounds on display. Just 2 men who had chosen to stand together for the sake of the girl who had saved us both. Sophia's voice carried through the room, steady and warm. Tonight isn't about numbers or dollars. It's about the moment a child looks at their parent and says, I still believe in you. Or the moment a grandparent decides that grief will not be the end of the story. This fund exists because my mother refused to let her daughter become another statistic. She protected me before I even knew I needed protection. She paused, looked straight at us. There's one more person I want to thank tonight. Someone who isn't here in body, but who started all of this. The lights dimmed. The big screen behind her lit up. A video began to play. Elena, alive, sitting on our old kitchen stool, the one with the wobbly leg she always meant to fix. She was holding her phone out selfie style, smiling that half smile she saved for when she was about to say something serious. Victor, my love, if you're watching this someday, it means you finally opened the safe deposit box like I asked. I know you've struggled. I know you're ashamed. But I also know you're capable of more. So here's my last request. When Sophia is grown, when the pain has settled, I want you to stand beside her father, my papa, and build something beautiful together. Because family isn't what we're born into. It's what we choose to become. The video ended on her smile. The room was completely silent. Then the applause started, slow, then thunderous. Then people were standing, wiping tears, some openly sobbing. Victor sat frozen beside me. His hands were shaking so badly the water glass rattled against the table that I reached over and covered his hand with mine, but he looked at me. Eyes wide, broken open. She knew, he whispered. All those years. She knew exactly who I was, and she still loved me enough to leave me a way back. Tears streamed down his face. He didn't wipe them, he let them fall. Sophia stepped down from the stage and walked straight to our table. She didn't say a word. She just wrapped her arms around her father and held him while he cried like a child. That I stood up and put my arms around both of them. The three of us stood there in the middle of 400 people, a small island of healing in a sea of applause. When Victor finally pulled back, his face was wet but his eyes were clear. I don't deserve this, he said, voice hoarse. Sophia smiled through her own tears. None of us do. That's why it's grace. The rest of the night blurred into hugs, handshakes, and quiet conversations at the edges of the room. One young man, 21, fresh out of rehab, studying engineering on our scholarship, came up to Victor. I watched your story on the fund's website, he said. You said you were the villain, but you're not anymore. You're proof I can be more than my worst day. Victor hugged him, hard. Later, when the crowd thinned and the staff started clearing tables, the three of us slipped out to the rooftop terrace overlooking the Cuyahoga. The city lights sparkled on the river. Sophia leaned on the railing between us. I've been thinking, she said quietly, about the next chapter. Victor and I waited. I'm getting married. The words landed softly. Victor's head snapped toward her. I smiled slowly. To who? Victor asked, voice thick. His name is Daniel. He's a social worker. Works with kids in the foster system. We met at a fund event last year. He's good. Steady. He knows everything about our family. And he still wants to be part of it. Victor swallowed hard. When? Next June. At the house. In the backyard under the maple tree where Mom used to read to me. He nodded. Then he looked at me. ZAHA, I'd like to walk her down the aisle. If she'll let me. If you'll let me. Sophia answered before I could. I want both of you, she said. One on each arm. Because I wouldn't be here without either of you. Victor's shoulders shook once. He turned away, gripping the railing. That I put my hand on his back. We'll do it together, I said. The way Elena asked. The next 8 months were a beautiful kind of chaos. Sophia and Daniel planned a simple wedding. Lavender flowers, string lights in the trees, a playlist full of Elena's favorite songs. Victor and I threw ourselves into the preparations like men who had something to prove. That we built a wooden arch together in the backyard, hand-sanded, stained deep oak. Victor did the joinery. I did the carving. Elena's initials intertwined with Sophia's. That we argued once about whether to serve alcohol. Victor wanted none. I don't trust myself around it, he said quietly one night while we were painting the arch. I looked at him. Then we serve sparkling cider and call it a night. He smiled gratefully. Sophia's dress arrived the week before the wedding, a soft ivory gown with lavender embroidery along the hem. When she tried it on in the living room, Victor and I both cried like old fools. The night before the wedding, the three of us sat on the porch swing, the same one where Sophia had first told me the truth 6 years earlier. She was barefoot, wearing one of Elena's old cardigans. I'm nervous, she admitted. Victor chuckled softly. Me too. I'm terrified I'll trip walking you down the aisle. I squeezed her hand. Your mother is going to be there tomorrow. In every flower. In every song. In the way you smile when you say I do. Sophia leaned her head on my shoulder, then on Victor's. I love you both, she whispered. Thank you for choosing me. Every single day. The wedding day arrived warm and golden. The backyard had been transformed. White chairs in neat rows, lavender ribbons tied to every post. The arch we built standing proud under the big maple. Guests filled the seats. Scholarship kids, their families, old neighbors, Daniel's people. Victor and I stood at the end of the aisle in matching gray suits. When the music started, At Last by Etta James, Elena's favorite, Sophia appeared at the top of the porch steps. She looked like light itself. Victor took a shaky breath. I took his arm for a second. Then we walked forward together, one step at a time. When we reached Sophia, she took both our arms. The three of us walked the aisle slowly. N01 in the audience was dry-eyed. Daniel waited under the arch, smiling like a man who had won the lottery. When we reached him, Sophia kissed Victor's cheek first, then mine. Then she stepped forward. The ceremony was short and perfect. Vows were spoken, rings exchanged. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," the cheers were loud enough to wake the dead. At the reception, under strings of lights, Victor stood up to give a toast. He tapped his glass of sparkling cider. Everyone quieted. "I wasn't supposed to be here," he began. "Not after what I did. But a mother's love reached across death and pulled me back. Sophia's courage gave me another chance. And ZAHA's forgiveness showed me what real strength looks like." He looked at me, then at Sophia and Daniel. "So tonight, I want to make a new promise. To my daughter, my son-in-law, and to the man who could have destroyed me but chose to build with me instead. I will spend every day I have left being the father and the partner this family deserves." He raised his glass, to Elena, to second chances, to family. We drank. Later, when the dancing started, Sophia pulled me onto the floor for the father-daughter dance. Halfway through, Victor joined us. The three of us swayed together under the lights. Sophia looked up at us both. "Mom's here," she said. I nodded. "I feel her too." The song ended. The night stretched on. When the last guests left and the lights were turned low, Sophia and Daniel drove away in the old blue Civic. Tin cans tied to the bumper. "Just married," written in lavender paint on the back window. Victor and I stood on the porch watching them go. He turned to me. Thank you. For not giving up on me. For letting me be part of this." I looked at the man who had once broken my heart. I pulled him into a hug. "Your family," I said. "Always were. Even when we forgot." We stood there a long time. The maple tree rustled in the night breeze, and somewhere, in the quiet spaces between heartbeats, Elena was smiling. The envelope Victor handed me in the hospital waiting room was cream-colored, slightly yellowed at the edges, sealed with a small lavender wax stamp Elena had used on birthday cards when Sophia was small. The handwriting on the front was hers, younger, more hopeful than the trust letter, written in the months when pregnancy made everything feel possible. Oh, my two favorite men, Papa and Victor, open together. When the time is right. Sophia was still in recovery upstairs, resting after delivering Elena Grace, a tiny, perfect girl with her mother's dark curls and Victor's stubborn chin. Daniel sat beside her bed, holding her hand, whispering things that made her smile even through exhaustion. Victor and I had stepped out to give them space. But now we stood in the quiet corridor, backs against the wall, the envelope between us like a bridge we weren't sure we were ready to cross. Victor's voice was rough. "I found it in the back of the safe deposit box last week. I almost didn't open it. Felt like trespassing. But the date on the postmark, it was the week she found out she was pregnant with Sophia." I nodded once that we walked to a small family lounge at the end of the hall, empty except for a coffee machine that smelled faintly burnt. We sat at a round table scarred with years of waiting families. Victor slid the envelope toward me. "You open it," he said. "She wrote it to you first." I broke the seal carefully. Inside, 2 sheets of stationery folded together. The top one was addressed to both of us.my loves. If you're reading this, Sophia is grown. The pain has had time to settle into something quieter, and somehow, you found your way back to the same room. I always believed you would. Not because I doubted how deep the hurt could go, but because I knew how deep the love was underneath it. I wrote this the day the doctor said, "It's a girl." I sat in the car outside the clinic and cried happy tears for 20 minutes. Then I came home and wrote to you both, because I wanted to make sure my daughter would always have the 2 men who loved her most standing side by side, even if I couldn't be there to hold you together. Victor, my wild, beautiful, broken man. I know you. I know the itch in your hands when the world feels too heavy. I know how easy it is for you to chase a feeling that drowns out the fear. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to remember that Sophia will watch how you treat yourself when no one is looking. Be kind to the man in the mirror. He's the one who gets to teach her what forgiveness looks like. Papa, my steady rock. You've carried so much already. Don't carry anger too. It's heavy and it doesn't keep anyone warm. If Victor falls, help him up. Not because he deserves it, but because Sophia will need to see that love doesn't keep score. And because you taught me that mercy is the strongest thing a man can do. To both of you. Raise my girl to know she is enough. Tell her every day that she is loved beyond her mistakes. And when she makes her own, Because she will. Love her through them the way you're learning to love each other through mine, that I'm not afraid. I know you'll fight. I know you'll cry. I know you'll get it wrong sometimes. But I also know you'll choose each other again. And again. Until choosing becomes habit. Until habit becomes family. Hold Sophia close for me. Hold each other closer. And when a little girl named after me is born someday, tell her grandma Elena loved her before she took her first breath. Forever yours. Elena. Mommy/your girl. The second sheet was shorter, just for Victor. Victor. If you're reading this alone, it means Papa isn't ready yet. Give him time. He's grieving me in his own way. But don't stop trying. You were the love of my life. Even on the days I wanted to strangle you. I forgive you in advance for everything you haven't done yet. Now forgive yourself. Sophia needs her dad. Not the perfect version, just the one who keeps showing up that I love you. Always did. Always will. The paper trembled in my hands. Victor was crying silently, shoulders shaking that I folded the letters carefully, slid them back into the envelope, and placed it between us on the table. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Then Victor whispered, "She wrote this before Sophia was even here. Before any of it happened." I nodded. "She believed in us," I said. "Even when we didn't." Victor wiped his face with the sleeve of his shirt. "I don't know how to carry this," he said. Knowing she saw me, the real me, and still trusted me with her daughter. I looked at him, really looked. "You carry it by doing what she asked. By showing up. By choosing Sophia every day. By choosing me as family, even when it's hard." Victor reached across the table. I took his hand. We sat like that. Two old men who had lost the same woman, found the same granddaughter, and were now holding onto the same promise. Upstairs, Sophia was awake when we returned. Daniel stepped out to give us a moment. Sophia looked at our red eyes and the envelope in my hand. "What is it?" she asked softly. I sat on the edge of her bed. Victor stood at the foot. I told her everything. About the second letter, about Elena's words to us both, about the forgiveness she had already given before any betrayal had even happened. When I finished reading the letter aloud, Sophia was crying quietly. She reached for both our hands. She knew, Sophia whispered. She knew everything, and she still loved us. Victor leaned down and kissed her forehead. "She loved you most," he said. "And she made sure we'd never forget how to love you too." Sophia looked at the tiny bundle in the bassinet beside her bed. Elena Grace, sleeping with one fist curled near her cheek. "Grandma Elena's already keeping her promise," Sophia said. "She's here." We stayed until visiting hours ended. Victor drove me home. Neither of us spoke much. When we pulled into the driveway on Willow Creek Lane, the porch light was on, soft, welcoming. Victor turned off the engine. I want to ask you something." I waited. "I'd like to move closer. Not into the house, just somewhere nearby, so I can be here for Sophia, for the baby, for whatever comes next, if that's okay with you." I looked at the man beside me, the one who had once spent my grief on blackjack tables, the one who now spent his weekends changing oil and mentoring young men in recovery, the one Elena had trusted enough to leave a letter for. I reached over and squeezed his shoulder. "Find a place with a big porch," I said, "so we can sit together when the baby comes over, and we can watch her grow." Victor's eyes filled again. "Thank you." We sat in the car a moment longer. Then he said, "I love you, ZAHA. Like a father. Like family." I nodded. "I love you too, Victor. Like a son." He got out. I watched him drive away. Inside the house, the lavender candles still burned low. I sat at the kitchen table. Opened the envelope one more time. Read Elena's words again. Then I whispered to the empty room, to the woman who had loved us all enough to plan for the worst and believe in the best. "We did it, my love. We chose each other. We kept showing up." The candles flickered once, as if in answer. Outside, the maple tree rustled in the night wind, and somewhere, in the quiet spaces between heartbeats, Elena was smiling. Years later, when Elena Grace was old enough to ask questions, Sophia would sit her on the porch swing and tell her the whole story. About a grandmother who loved so fiercely she built safety nets before anyone knew they were needed. About a grandfather who chose mercy over anger. About a father who fell far and climbed back. About a family that broke, and then chose, every single day, to mend. And when Elena Grace asked, "Did it hurt?" Sophia would smile. "Yes," she'd say. "But love hurts less when you share it." Then she'd light a lavender candle, and they'd sit together, watching the stars, waiting for nothing, because everything that mattered had already come home. The end of Elena's letters, Victor's long road back, Sophia's courage, and a grandfather's quiet mercy touched something deep inside you. Please share in the comments. What's one promise someone made to you, or you made to someone else, that reached beyond time, beyond life itself, to keep love alive? I read every single one. Your stories are the real legacy. If this journey, from betrayal and grief to forgiveness, family, and a new generation, moved you, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. We'll keep telling the stories that remind us, love doesn't end. It just changes shape. Thank you for staying until the very last word. See you in the next one. Shalom. Thank you so much for watching my story all the way to the end. Your support means everything. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.